Roads have paved the way to success for communities across Ontario, acting as an essential infrastructure for economic growth in the province through transportation, tourism, and safety. But as we continue to grow, so do our needs, and recognizing additional essential infrastructure is key in moving our communities forward in an ever-changing economic landscape. Aerodromes play an increasingly pivotal role in the development of our communities. Just like highways, roads, parking lots, and sidewalks, aerodromes are transportation infrastructure, facilitating the movement of goods, services, and people for the benefit of their community. And because the aircraft that use them spend their time so far above us, so much of our aerodrome's benefits can go profoundly unnoticed. These aerodromes provide a plethora of services to their communities, including economic growth, providing a base for aerial operations, and facilitating emergency services. It is with these essential services that our communities, large and small, can grow together in Ontario. Aerodromes provide a space for professionals in the aerospace industry to base themselves, train, and perform operations. Pilots like Al Rive depend on these quality facilities for not only their personal use, but to allow them to truly integrate themselves in the community.
My name is Al Rive. I'm a pilot. I've been flying since 1976. I'm an aircraft owner. I also have a hangar here at the airport, so lucky to have facilities like we have at North Bay. Now that I own my own aircraft, I try and do as much flying as I can. Whether it's private flying on my own or flying with Casera.
The Civilian Air Search and Rescue Association also depends on these aerodromes in order to respond to calls when lives are in danger. Casera actively trains and works with civilian pilots to aid in search and rescue operations, according to Francine Quinn in North Bay.
We have 2,500 members across Canada that provide search and rescue support for the Department of National Defence, specifically their Joint Rescue Coordination Centres. We are in every province and territory, so we have 109 chapters right now.
Casera's 2,500 members are all volunteers who practice with Canada's military, working closely with their search and rescue technicians and air crews so that they are prepared for when the critical operations call for their help. These volunteers lend their help the moment a call comes in to assist in finding a missing or overdue aircraft, missing overturned or capsized boat, or missing hikers and lost persons. Volunteers take to the skies with their own private aircraft, providing key support in operations to help those in need.
A lot of times the Hercules or the air crew, the military air crew, will already be engaged somewhere or will be too far away, and so to deploy local assets gives them the advantage of having someone on site right away. Most of the Casera units are specifically in smaller communities. It's easy for landing. We have agreements for ramp access, runways, food, local logistics that are available, so that it's more of a community-based organization. Our members come from the community, they're local pilots, they're local law enforcement, they're local people from all walks of life that are assisting us with volunteering.
And while Casera provides essential support in search and rescue operations, they are always in need of volunteers to assist in operations, especially in smaller and more remote communities.
Ontario's airports are critical to our mission, not only where we have Casera units, but we land at all airports at any given time because you don't know when we'll get called out on a search.
It can be hard, at a glance, to see the ripples across our economy left in the wake of developed aerodromes. There can be a misconception that airports should yield direct economic impacts on their community with easily measurable metrics. But the truth is, while airports can show direct contributions to the local economy, many of the positive effects they bring take a little more effort to find, hidden above the clouds. Industries are increasingly relying on just-in-time delivery to keep production going, and having access to an aerodrome is essential for the delivery of a spare part or component. Access to an aerodrome is one of the main criteria industries use when determining where to locate their operations. Not only do aerodromes provide the ability to transport personnel, but they are also essential in the movement of parts and equipment and providing connectivity. Community aerodromes in Ontario support a number of industries, including mining, forestry, agriculture, government, and healthcare, as well as providing an important tourism link to the province and country. COPA represents close to 16,000 members in every province and territory since 1952. Under the current direction of Bernard Gervais, COPA's president, COPA seeks to continue representing its members and advance, promote, and preserve the Canadian freedom to fly.
And we're here today at the Arne Prior Airport, which is a typical mid-sized general aviation aerodrome in Canada. It represents one of about 1,800 certified aerodromes in the country. We'll find some of these aerodromes across the country, smaller ones, bigger ones, but mostly this is your typical one that we would find. It's got about 40 hangars, typically with 2 or 3 aircraft in them. So we'd have around 100 aircraft sitting on the field right now. Some flight training units, maybe 1, 2, mechanic shops, and other than that, it's really people that own their aircraft or rent them out, and they sit in these hangars at different airports across the country. Having these many aircraft on the airport and the hangars, it generates quite a bit of business that we don't really know about this until we look at that in a little more detail.
In 2017, COPA performed an economic impact study that demonstrated for every general aviation aircraft in Canada, 1.1 full-time equivalent jobs are created, earning $76,600 in wages annually.
If we see, let's say, 100 aircraft here on this airport, the average is that in the Canadian economy, it means 110 jobs, full-time equivalent jobs. That's what it means for all these aircraft that we see. And it's the same repeated across the country. This means that what we've got from our study is 35,600 jobs across the country just for general aviation. And GA is anything but scheduled aircraft service or scheduled flights and military. The GDP, the total input into the economy was $9.3 billion in 2017 for general aviation. So that's excluding the Air Canadas, the WestJets and all these things, just GA. As a matter of fact, the number of aircraft on the registry, the Canadian registry of 36,000, well, just about 95% of those are GA aircraft. There's only about 1,500 to 2,000 of the bigger ones that do the scheduled air service. So the rest is just GA. We don't really see that. The local community airport or regional, that's what has helped populate the country, or at least in and out of certain communities. They are really vital to the community, either to keep them alive. Some communities have their food flown in, have their mail flown in, and have their people evacuated because of the airport. Just in Ontario, we're talking direct 4,100 jobs. Indirectly, and we're talking about just over 7,500 jobs in Ontario alone for GA. Taxes in Ontario, we're talking $110 million being given back. There's money being brought to the community because of these airports. It's the duty of the airport manager and the city council to show the value and present the value to their community and say, we should be proud of having an airport, a local airport. It acts like a magnet to bring businesses to that community. You have to go beyond the what's it bringing back to me, what's the kickback, the immediate kickback. A community can live or die with an airport because of an airport.
COPA also tasks itself with providing education and safety programs, ranging from seminars for pilots in the area to COPA for Kids, which serves to prepare the next generation for the world of aviation.
The pilots volunteer their time, their aircraft, the fuel. There's absolutely no cost to the kids or their parents to go flying. We've flown hundreds of kids here that hopefully has given those kids a little taste of what general aviation is all about, and maybe the maybe sparked a little bit of interest, nurtured a little bit of interest in them for a possibility of some future in aviation. People ask me why I wanted to become a pilot. Well, even going right back to when I was a little kid, I had an interest in airplanes. I remember when I was very young, I got a poster book that you glued in pictures of airplanes. I just remember that as a child, and maybe that was one of the things that just kind of nurtured my interest in aviation. For careers in aviation, there's never been a bigger demand. There's a critical shortage right now of pilots. So whatever your interest is in aviation, I say go for it. There's excellent schools out there for pilot training. There's excellent schools out there for other trades involved in aviation, where it's aircraft mechanics, aviation, aircraft electronics specialists. There's a real demand out there for people with those skills.
While we don't like to think about the dangers every day can present, knowing the supports exist to help goes a long way in relieving the stress. Ontario is a big place, and cities, especially up north, are so far apart. But by air, that time can be cut down significantly, and during medical emergencies, every second matters. Aerodromes provide communities with medevac flights, facilitate disaster evacuation and recovery, provide a base for search and rescue operations, and aerial firefighting operations. They also provide residents of the community with access to distant emergency healthcare centers and services, as well as facilitating an accelerated response to natural disasters, such as in the case of the 2016 Fort McMurray wildfire. In 2015, Ornge patient transfers exceeded 18,000, with total patient numbers growing to 29,000 when charitable organizations like Hope Air are included. These numbers continue to grow over the years, and the missions carried out by Ornge become more and more critical. And of all these patient transfers, approximately 60% were taken in fixed-wing aircraft, which require aerodromes to land. It's thanks to smaller, more remote aerodromes that these transfers can happen in a great number of areas, greatly impacting the lives of the communities with aerodromes. Currently, Ornge keeps an eye on more than 1 million square kilometers into remote communities in Ontario, performing approximately 21,000 patient-related transports each year. For many of these patients and evacuees from disaster areas, community aerodromes can literally mean the difference between life and death. This was the case with John Reinwald, mayor of Laurentian Hills, when tragedy struck his family in 2016.
This story is about my grandson, Silas. Was born on April of 2016. Many of you may have heard about it or read about it. I'm here to tell you about it one more time. On April the 16th, 2016, the Pembrokeshire Airport was used to transfer my grandson Silas to Chio by way of Medijet. At that particular time, the Ornge chopper was not available. A small jet from Toronto flew to the Pembroke Airport, picked up my grandson, and got him to Chio. He was there for 4 days before he was released. Silas was born premature, was under 6 pounds, and could not breathe on his own. If it had not been for the Pembrokeshire Airport having the ability for the Medijet to land on the 1 mile of runway, we would have been providing my grandson a pine box instead of a toy box. Today, Silas is a bouncing 2.5-year-old little boy. So on behalf of Silas, and to show our appreciation, we have purchased the first foot of runway, part of a fundraising campaign for the Pembrokeshire Airport. I can't wait to tell him when he understands the significance of this project runway.
Since then, John has begun to truly appreciate the impact the Pembroke and area airport has, not only on his life and the lives of his family, but how important it is for his community.
So when I first started here at the Pembrokeshire Airport, sitting on the commission, I thought that the airport was used mainly for leisure aircraft, but nothing much more than that. After spending some time here, I started to realize that The Garrison Petawawa also uses it for parachuting, takeoffs. They also use it for, they have their own hangar facility here. I also realized that, and this summer was a prime example, of the Ministry of Natural Resources were here for approximately 3 weeks, helping put out forest fires on a daily basis, on a semi-hourly basis. Planes were coming in and out, refueling, to go back out to fight fires, and also to pick up or drop off fire crews. I also realized that the OPP used it on a somewhat regular basis, especially with air-to-ground captures.
It's easy to forget how great of an impact the women and men above the clouds and on the ground have on our communities. But one thing is certain: they need the support of municipalities to facilitate their development and operations across the province, so we can continue to prosper and be safe.
You have to go beyond the what's it bringing back to me, what's the kickback, the immediate kickback. There's really lots more than, okay, how many dollars is this bringing me in taxes? It's more than that. A community can live or die with an airport because of an airport.
A lot of people, I don't think, realize, the importance of, that an airport plays in the community, whether it's transporting people, to and from the community, or transporting goods to the community.
Can't state enough how important the infrastructure and the Ontario airports actually are. Without their assistance and their generosity, we would not be able to do what we do.
I, along with many others, did not realize the importance of a service to our community until it's absolutely necessary or until it does not exist.